May I pay my deepest respect to the Triple Gym and the great masters. May I pay respect to all the venerable monks. And good evening, all participants. Welcome to our 9th day of the certificate program, Pali Chanting with English translations on this commemoration of Vesak Day and the 81st year of Long Po Thammashayo. Today we will explore the Chayaparitta. It's a continued part from yesterday, the verses of victory, a chariot chanting which is rooted in deep compassion as it begins with the Pali Mahakaruniko Nato, as you may have heard before, and the realization of the Buddha's awakening. The chant includes with the chant concludes with the Sabbamangalam, which invoke the power of the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, and to bring safety and well-being. This chant spiritually brings blessings, victories, auspiciousness, and protection to those who recite and listen to it with the understanding and faith. So as we chant together today, at the end of the class, may we reflect on these teachings, not just as words, but as guidance for living with courage, truthfulness, and compassion. And today we are honored to welcome Venerable Pisit Chitta Sutto to guide us through the victory's protection verses. Venerable Pisit brings a remarkable global perspective to our program. He graduated from University of Illinois in Chicago, United States, and as an experienced teaching monk of Dhammakaya Temple, he has shared the Buddha's teachings and meditation guidance with students from over 30 countries. And currently he's based in London, United Kingdom, as a teaching monk of Dhammakaya International Society of United Kingdom. He continues to reach global audiences through his mindfulness and relaxation online course and regular Sunday Dhamma talks and meditation sessions on Facebook. And with deep respect and gratitude, please may I invite, is he here? Is he here yet?
All right. Thank you very much, Venerable.
May I invite all the lay participants to offer our respect to the teaching monks by bowing to their times. Bow, bow, bow. กราบนิมนต์ครับ
Thank you. I'll take it from here now. Good evening, everyone, and good afternoon to where I am, and good morning to United States for those who are living in those continent. All right, depending on where do you live, I hope we're gonna have good session tonight together. All right, let's go with the things about this topic that I'm about to present. In fact, this topic itself is continued from yesterday's session. It is using as a summarized as well as a closing chanting on blessing for those who are listening, and as well as for the monk to use it at the end of their blessing. And so let's go to the translation according to what I am presenting at the moment. All right. Can you see from here? Hopefully you can. Either way. First of all, these are just only the translation itself that I have material hand on. So part of it of the detail, I think you can study on your own as well. All right. Without further ado, let's go with the topic then. All right. In fact, this chanting, which is called Dvadasamamjayaparittagatha, which is commonly known as Mahakaruniko. It is used as a closing, like I mentioned, but also known as Chayaparit, which is the Buddhist chanting tradition reciting after Pahung. In other words, yesterday we talked about Pahung chanting, or it is the chanting that is to honor the Lord Buddha. Thus, it has meaning significance as to praise the Buddha's boundless compassion as his selfless effort to cultivate virtue of parami that benefit for all living beings. That is why it is quite important to mention this in here, because it is a victory without losing or without violence or without harming anyone, but bring benefit to all beings. Thus, the teachings and the blessing is continue to practice until now. For the spiritual practice or benefit of listening or learning on this part, it is that it dispels the suffering, sorrow, or illness or danger, while bringing auspiciousness and inner strength to those who reciting it, as well as listening to it too. In other words, these blessings, Pahung and Mahakaruniko, are usually used for blessing on these occasions, whether they are starting with a birthday, warming home family, New Year, or any auspicious event. Just like for this example that I show you on the screen here, for those who are not Buddhist or living in different countries, especially in Europe, may not be able to see such kind of picture like this. So just want to get the idea for those who are having that kind of option. But in fact, no need to if you are in Asia or in Thailand or in Asia country, because this is common practice. So that's this chanting, usually chanting by, it depend on the number of the monks. Like in here in UK where I live, we don't have that many monks like you see on a photo here, whether it's one or two. But either way, it starts with this and ending with the chanting that we are about to learn from here. But before we get to that part, let's go over the view of the review of the Pahung first, because this 8 victory is common chanting, but sometimes yesterday we don't have much time. We have quite a lot of time, but sometimes we didn't go over the details. So that's allow me to give you a little bit more overview in more detail, and we'll continue with the conclusion as I prepare for you now here. But we got some more time anyway, since the chanting that I'm about to present, not that much of the detail. The 8 victory or the Pahung's chanting are achieved in his lifetime. These actually symbolics of the Buddha triumph over the powerful force of evil, as you can see reading in here. The reason I put some of the things in here, because you are learning, so therefore it is something that if I say it sometime without reference, you may not remember it well, or sometimes you may forget. But getting out of this maybe get you more understanding and more for you to review later on. Overcome such evil, obstacle, and danger. Of course, this kind of thing is something that we may be facing in our daily life too, but somehow maybe less extreme. But how do we overcome? But for the Buddha himself, he was able to overcome without harming, but use only his wisdom and words that can change the will of the person on his enemy, in order to let them, understand and convert themselves, follow the way of the Buddha practice. And these are the key moments that we are about to go review over. In case you already learned, you can skip this part. You can come follow after I finish it, okay? But if you like to learn further here, you can also listening. All right. For the first victory that already mentioned yesterday, of course, it's about the Mara, the evil one, the one that he was encountered at the time when he was about to be enlightenment. In other words, before enter Buddhahood. This one, if you are looking at the significance, you will see that the Mara himself riding on an elephant with 1,000 hands, creating all kind of illusions and, well, no, it's not really illusion, more like a dangerous weapons that threatening for the Buddha, or no, for Siddhartha to move out of the seat. So that way he don't have chance in order to attain Buddhahood. But with the person alone, of course, with his mind still, if you look at compared to yourself, looking at this, you will see now that if someone comes to threat you with a gun and tell you to move, what would you do in this case? For the Buddha himself, he don't have anyone to help, but only himself under the tree, while the Mara riding on a big elephant and also more than 1,000-foot soldier try to threat him to move. He don't have anything to fight with, but he rely on himself, which is called parami. He recall of these 10 parami in order to use it as a way to fight the Mara, the evil one. As also in the story also show that the witness of his good deed, great deeds had been, as the ladies who are rising up and twist her hair and bring out the water that he had done by dedicated merits that he had done in every lifetime. That drives away the evil force and overcome the Mara, and thus in earning himself the Buddhahood. This is common one that you maybe have already seen and learned over the time about in Buddha biography. But this one may not be later, may not be quite common, but let's go then. The next one, this is called Alavaka. Okay, Yakka or the ogre. Alavaka himself is very, very powerful, but nevertheless, he is not that powerful enough to, to be enlightened. But still, to human being, he is. And because of the story you learned from yesterday, that he had Yakka or ogre, their food is flesh, have to eat meat, whether it's human meat, animals. But he got, a blessing and a deal with the king that the king must giving him human every day in order to, exchange for his life. And as it is, the story will go that the Buddha came to him and, kind of like converting Aravaka in order to, change their view. In other words, the Buddha changed his view that he has to eat people alive in order to be living. But this time, the Buddha himself doesn't fight, doesn't do anything. He just go with silence. Now, for example, as you can see in the picture here, the Buddha entered the palace of Aravaka, and Aravaka was very angry. Yakka, the ogre, they have short temper. And as it is, he kind of like, Buddha, get out. The Buddha just silently walk away and move. Hey, Aravaka was thinking, that's easy. I thought he was powerful. Buddha, come back. Then the Buddha just come back silently. Then, let's try again. Buddha, get out. Then the Buddha walk away silently. Then come back again. Then the Buddha, Aravaka said, Buddha, come back again. This time the Buddha said, do what you want with me, Aravaka. Just, that way we can settle our talk. Then Aravaka was like, all right, since you are so powerful, so they try to, exchanging with their power, but, unable to overcome or defeat it. So as they exchanging and talk, the Buddha himself was able to persuade Aravaka to stop eating human. But how does Aravaka able to live then? Yes, the Buddha bring Aravaka into the town and let people, kind of like offering him meat instead. And in return, Aravaka would help them, if warning them, for example, if there is storm, rain, things, so that way they can, prepare and raise the crops, that making their life thing proper. That's bring the city to the prosperity from their own. This is one of the things that the Buddha able to change against the violence over him. For the third one, this one is Nalagiri, the drunken elephant. This elephant was very violent because it's short-tempered just like Alavaka, and people tried to assassinate him while the Buddha was walking to town for alms round and letting the elephant run toward the Buddha. But because of his kindness, you already had learned the story, so I'm not going to go into the detail. And he was able to subdue and calm down the elephants with his compassion. The elephants finally realized their mistake and asked for forgiveness, as you can see from the picture in here. Of course, if in your case, what would you do then when you were in town and the elephant just run to you? But in this case, they probably don't have elephants anymore. They probably have like a big truck, right? So how will you stop in that place? You see, this is something that is not quite easy. Another is the fourth, the one that the Buddha has able to be overcome, which is called Angulimala. He is the murderer that tried to, assassinate the Buddha for to get 1,000 fingers on his neck. It is said that his teacher told him that if you want to be the ruler or the conqueror of the world, you must bring me the life of 1,000 people. Then I will teach you the knowledge. With his greed and lust for knowledge, he began to killing many people in order, but to get to prove to his teacher, he collect the finger and make it as a necklace. And Buddha himself just happened to be now the 1,000th one that he was, hunting for. But the fact in the detail in the story was that it's supposed to be his mother, but the Buddha realized that Angulimala could be enlightened. If he killed his mother, he would lose the chance and would be suffering for a long, long time. So the Buddha in his place, showing himself before his Angulimala's mother, as you can see in the picture, his mother is in the middle from the distance. So Angulimala, instead of going to his mother, just go to the Buddha himself. But as he tried to reach the Buddha just walking normally, but no matter how fast Angulimala ran, cannot reach the Buddha. Finally, he said, "Monk, stop! Monk, stop!" But the Buddha replied, "I am already stopped. It is you who did not." With the wisdom that he might have, Angulimala, on his background, he was very smart and obedient, but because of his lust for knowledge, he forget about the virtue and what he should and could do. He forget all of these just want to learn the knowledge. And so when he was alarmed by the Buddha, "I am stopped, but it is you who did not." He realized that, oh, this is the riddle. So he realized that, I have not stopped. Then he began to, convert it and learning from the Buddha, thus change himself and become the Buddhist monk. That's the story, but in more detail, maybe later on. But the thing is that it wasn't easy. He's changing from murderer into become a monk. People would hunting him down, isn't it? But how would it end? Maybe next time. But this is how did the Buddha able to bring the victory. This one is very enjoyable. I like this one most. Victory over the priest Saccaka. He is, Jainism. Jainism is like a monk, but he don't wear clothes. He shave his head and walk. Well, they still exist in India. Jainism is pretty much close to Buddhism, but they practice to the extreme, not in the middle way like in Buddhism. The thing is that Saccaka himself has a proud that he is the most philosopher, most debater, and no one can defeat him. So with his confidence, he went to challenge the Buddha. But to challenge alone, he found that it's not to his fame because he's so famous. So he bring all 500 people who used to be the ruler of the region in there to listen to his debate between him and the Buddha. And of course, over the debate, he keep, confirm and announce that everything is permanent. It always and would never change until the Buddha asked him the question that he could not answer for the first time, second time, until the Buddha told him that for the third time, if you do not answer, your head will be exploded. Finally, fear for his life, he finally answered, the Buddha, the question was similar to something like this. For example, if everything is permanent, how come we cannot get over aging, sickening, and dying? We cannot stop this. Isn't this contradict to what you believe? And so, lost the debate. And it is something that allow him to, the Buddha, with just the debate, with the wisdom that he has. 6.1, victory over the wicked woman. This is very, very dangerous for all the monk because we have no way of try to, prove, like for this story of Jinja Manvika or Jinja woman. This lady, it is said that she was very beautiful with fine skin and black hair, almost like Miss Universe, I would compare. And because she was practiced Jainism, and these people believe that because of the Buddha, they're losing the way of benefit that they can gain. For example, they used to have a lot of people bringing them food and supporting them, but now those people begin to practice Buddhism. They lost all of these benefits. So they asked Jinjama, who is one of their disciples, to go destroy the reputation of the Buddha. And so she started with, but it doesn't go in one day. It's go for 9 months. You can see she start on the first day, then go there. When people go into the temple in the morning, she would hide herself in the forest and walking out on the opposite direction. When people asking her, "Hey, where have you been, Jinjamavika?" And then she said, "Oh, I just came back from Buddha's place." "What did you do?" "I slept with him." And then they begin to, surprise. And then she begin to do this 1 day, 2 day, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, then begin to bring the pillow to support her stomach until on the 9th month. Then when the Buddha was teaching his disciple and all the people in that evening, she rose from the ground and pointing to the Buddha, like you see in the picture, said, "Buddha, you only care about your disciple. You don't even care about our daughter, our baby in my womb. Look at this. You see now who is going to take responsibility?" When the Buddha replied, "The truth is only you and me know, Jinja." And, and then because of she was so happy now that she is winning, because the Buddha has no way to prove. Because of that, the pillow that's on her stomach begin to fall down. As it fall down, people begin to realize that she's lying. Of course, it's not going to be a happy ending when they find the truth for more than 6 months. But imagine he have to sit still and silent for her to make this false excuse for 9 months. If it is you, how long it could take? See, and he used this silence, and that he was able to overcome with the truth, because the truth never dies. Number 7, victory over the arrogant Naga. This one, for more detail from yesterday, was that the Naga itself doesn't like the Buddha to fly over its head, because in the time when the Buddha went to teach, he don't teach only human, but he teach all the Deva in heaven too. But as he float away with the Buddha, with all his disciples, the Naga saw that they pass over their head, until, "Oh, this disrespecting me. The Buddha must be taught." So the Naga tried to block the way of the Buddha. But the Buddha himself found that it doesn't have to be his power. So he asked his left-hand chief disciple, Venerable Moggallana, to, subdue the Naga or the dragon power. Finally, when he realized that the Naga cannot fight with his chief disciple, he realized if the chief disciple is this powerful, the Buddha would be even more. So thus he began to realize and ask for forgiveness, and thus learn from the Buddha that the limit of his power and how that he learned, and thus he began to change and correct his will. And the last one is the one that is very, very strong one too. Victory over the deluded Brahma. I'm not sure I spelled correct, but this is I think you get the idea on this 8th victory. This 8th victory was that the Brahma himself is one of the celestial beings, but higher than the heaven. But they are not attached to sensual pleasure. They are attached to their inner power of their meditation. Thus, they're living on their radiance, and where in white have no gender. This is what they look like in the picture you may see. The Brahma himself had this idea that he is enlightened and everything that live under him are not enlightened. He is power and he live long and he is immortal. The Buddha understand this, so he went to teach this Brahma. And he said, you are not enlightened. You used to be human, but you practice meditation and you can this jhana and absorption as you live in here. No, I am enlightened. Then let's see. Then Brahma would, show everywhere this, and he would let they play hide and seek with using their meditative power. So he would hide in different places, and the Buddha would guess where he is. And every time, everywhere he went, the Buddha would be able to tell, oh, you are in this place, this place, this place. Okay, that takes my turn. Then the Buddha tried to. When he, disappeared and he asked the Brahma to tell him where he is, he could not until the Buddha showing him and collect him with the noble path that he realized and convert into practice Buddhism or practice the Eightfold Path. And this is the conclude of the Eighth Victory. Hopefully this get you a little bit understanding for those who have no background. All right, but once giving this blessing, what would be benefit to gain from this listening? Because of this virtue that the Buddha had done with his compassionate, that they conclude with this Eighth Victory at the end and continue with this one that we are going to talk about today. And that is called Mahakaruniko Chanting. It is concluded as the great compassionate and a protector of the virtue of the people who had done good deeds, and these good deeds will protecting them, blessing that bring peace, safety, and spiritual success to anyone who listening or chanting on it. It is also served as a both praise and protective recite or paritta toward of suffering, illness, and misfortune. In other words, in these two chanting that we are about to learn, it is emphasized after the blessing, Eighth Victory of the Buddha that the monk chanting, and thus continue with this compassionate Buddha that protecting whoever listening or chanting it, and that's ward off all the suffering and illness and fortune. And that is why monks, whenever they chant for blessing, whether they were New Year, auspicious event, birthday, or any important event, they would chant this at the end, always at the end. Okay, so when they chant about Pahung, they will go with Mahakaruniko at the ending, always go together. So what does it mean in this chanting then? We will go over listening to this after. Okay, we have about 20 minutes. So let's go with this translation then. The monk usually would start with Mahakaruniko Nato Hitaya Sap Papaninang, which means the Buddha, our protector, with great compassion for the welfare of all beings. Puretawa Parami Sappa Patto Sampotimuttamang, which means having fulfilled all the perfections, attain the highest self-awakening. If you understand on this part, it means that to become the Buddha and get himself the self-awakening, he has to have perfections fulfilled, complete. Without it, it will not be able to realize the self-awakening, because the Buddha is mean self-awakening. Okay, in order to achieve that, he must have 10 perfections. 10 perfection, maybe learning from other classes. Okay, you don't have time to go over there. And Eta Satcha Vijana Hotu Te Chayamangalam, which is conclude the Mahakaruniko chanting. See, that's so short. That's why I have to go over it a little bit to keep my time for 1 hour session. Through the speaking of this truth, may you have victory, blessing. In other words, after listening to this and listening to this chanting Mahakaruniko Nato, may you have the victory all overcome that may come, all of the harms and danger that may come over you, whether your illness, false accused, or misfortune that you may have. Listen to this chanting. But listening, sometime, if we cannot do the chanting ourselves, we listen to the monk and the monk keep blessing. This is something that we getting for ourselves to start off a new day, new year. But if you have opportunity. Practice and chanting this on your own is not only blessing alone now, it's blessing for oneself too. So that's, if you are having chance and opportunity, I would suggest to do this for your own when you have your own convenient time. All right. For further, after this Mahakoroniko Nato, we're gonna go to Chayaparit, which is the blessing that gonna give the conclusion. When the monk would normally do is they would sprinkle the water in order to blessing in action, not just only chanting. This blessing go over on this. You can see in here picture as a kind of like give you an example. The monk would give the blessing by dipping this sprinkle staff into the water that they normally when they do the chanting, they would chanting with the water in a bowl. When they would light the candle, let the candle drip into the bowl, and once the chanting finished, the monk would drip this water and sprinkle to those who are listening, like you see in the picture. So what that these words say gonna say then? It usually Chayanto Bodhiya Mule Sakayanang Nandivatano, which means victorious at the foot of the Bodhi tree was he who increased the Sakayan delight. He talk about the Buddha who sat alone himself finding enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. Ewang tawang vichayo ho hichaya suchaya mangkale. May you have the same sort of victory. May you win victory, blessing. In other words, whatever the Buddha has attained himself, all that victory, may you have the same thing, just like the Buddha did. And so you get the picture and idea, right? This is the blessing we are going to go over with. And aparachita palanke si se patavipokare, which means at the end of the lotus leaf of the world, on the undefeated seat. Yes, it's meant about the time when the Buddha himself sat alone under the Bodhi tree, conquering the Mara. This is the victory that earned himself Buddhahood. This is very important. Without that victory, he won't be the Buddha, isn't it? That's why they use this as a blessing. And it's the blessing without anyone lost. This is the most important, not achieving easily. Apise ke sa Pabuddhamang akapato pamotati, consecrated by all the Buddhas. We get to that part. He rejoiced in the utmost attainment. Consecrated by all the Buddhas. Understand this part? Buddha, we talking today is Buddha alone. But here, Buddhas, which means plural. That means there are more than one Buddha that is mentioned in here. In other words, according to the Buddhas, biography and history show in the scripture, there are more than one Buddha in the universe. So that's why they have plural. So because before this, our Buddha that we mentioned here today, there are many Buddha that he had met in the past and make a desire to become the Buddha. That's the Buddha himself, before he become the Buddha, he has to meet a lot of Buddha and making resolution in order to become the Buddha in the future. So we will meet one too in the future if we have opportunity. So hopefully we are that lucky. Continue with the chanting. Sukhanang Sukha. Let me see. Sunakatang Sumangkalang. Supapatang Suhutitang. Which means a lucky star. It is a lucky blessing, a lucky dawn, a lucky sacrifice. This begin to talking about all of the good fortune, good time, right place. This always be lucky to you who are listening, or blessing. Sukhano sumuhuto jasuyitang brahmacharya su. A lucky instant, a lucky moment, a lucky offering. All of these are considered lucky when you had done this auspicious event at the time when you listen to this. Patakinang kaya kamang waja kamang patakinang, which is a rightful bodily act and a rightful verbal act. In other words, this continue whether what you are thinking, acting, speaking, all of these are considered a blessing that you are listening. A rightful Patakkinang mano kammang panatite patakkina, which is a rightful mental act, your rightful intention. All of these, may you have blessed on this. And at the end, Patakkina nikatawa lapantate patakkine. This is conclude the Chayantaparit, which regard to those who led a chaste life, doing these rightful things, rightful aims are achieved. Whatever you do, whether you think, speak, and act, may it be blessing and be luck. And that's by the power that the Buddha himself has overcome. All these truths that mentioned in here, may all you be blessing. And thus, we will come to the end of the blessing conclusion, which is the last verse, Bhavatu Sabbamangalam. Yesterday, this also mentioned at the end too. He skipped Mahakaruniko because it's going to mention today. But let's go to what we learned yesterday as a review too. Bhavatu Sabbamangalam, which is the words that always used at the end of the chanting as a blessing. So if you ever listen to the chanting from any monks or any auspicious event that the monk chanting, if they start with this word, Bhavatu Sabbamangalam, that's the signify. Now, in a few moments, it's going to over. So what does it mean in here? It said, may there be for you all blessings. May all the devas protect you well. The deva in here need to be a little bit clarified because I just learned recently from our very successful monk, Venerable Pasura. He mentioned in here that the devas and angel are not the same. In Christianity, they have angel, which is not the same as the Buddhism angel that we are talking. We use this term sometimes. So in Pali translation, they use this term as a way to signify that the deva, not the angel, but sometimes we translate it as an angel. But anyway, what does it mean in here? The angel in Christianity is a being that was created by the God. But the deva in Buddhism, it is a human being who had passed away, and they do good deeds when they were alive. And when they die, they live in heaven, and they call this being a deva. Understand? So that's a deva in Buddhism is a human being who used to be a good person doing good deeds that when they die, they live in heaven. But they live only temporarily. Once their time in heaven is over, they will come back reborn again, according to their karma. If they have bad karma, they may not become human. They could be on another kind of being. But if they're lucky, they will be born as a human that have a chance to continue doing good deeds if they are lucky. But if they don't, they would just go to different place depending on their own karma. And let's continue to our translation. Okay. All right. Next is Sappaputtanupavena Sattha Soti Bhavantu Te. I think you may have familiar sometime come over this. It's in these words, sometimes it use it at the end of the meditation. Remember anyone who practice meditation? Most of the monks would in our temple usually go Sappaputtanupavena Sappathammanupavena Sappasankhanupavena Sattha Soti Bhavantu Te. These by the power of the Buddhas. Ever in safety may you be. This is the part that is going to be changing. You can see the underline that I made, the Buddha. Next would be, yes, you can guess the Dhamma. Bhavatu Sabbamangalam Rakhantu Sappatevata, which may you all be, may there, let me repeat again. May there be for you all blessing. May all the devas protecting you. Again, this is the same thing, but the change is the Dhamma. Sappathammanupavena Sattha Soti Bhavantu Te. By the power of all the Dhamma, ever in safety may you be. And last, which is come to the conclusion part here, the ending. Bhavatu Sabbamangalam Rakhantu Sappatha Devata. May there be for you all blessing. May all the devas protect you well. And last, Sappasankhanupavena Sattha Soti Bhavantu Te. By the power of all the Sangha, ever in the safety may you be. And thus, we come to the conclusions of our chanting for this translation on this verse. Now you learn all of this, what it has to be with you then. First of all, it can be used as a way to blessing, listening to it, as well as chant it yourself. However, aside from chanting alone is not enough. It needs to be practiced too. Thus, practice on these three things. Three, I would call golden practice. The hard practice of Buddhism, I would say, which are practice of generosity. So every day, if you have not practice of generosity yet, it's not complete. Remember, we are human. We are social beings. We need to support each other to stay alive. And thus, in order so, sharing, helping each other is something one must do. But if we want to gain ourselves safety, respect, and love by many aside from sharing, we need to practice what is called observing precepts. And I think we already are Buddhist, so we think you understand on this part of the 5 precepts. Don't have to go that much in detail. But the most important one, practice of these two, generosity and precept, will help you easier to cleanse the mind and still your mind to practice of meditation. Because meditation is the training directly for the mind. All of the things that create trouble for our life originate from our mind alone. Have you ever had trouble for your own thought without anyone doing to you at all? If you do, welcome. I did too. So that's in order to calm down our mind, get rid of the trouble in our life. What we need is practicing what is called meditation. But in order for the meditation to success, you must also practice the other two. But sometimes you may not see that it's quite related, but it does a lot. But because it is indirect to the mind, sometimes it may not be easily noticed. For example, you may have practice of generosity. Many people know you and respecting you because of your generosity. But if you don't speak nicely to the other, do you think they're gonna like to be around you? Do you think they're gonna be pressing you behind you? Most likely, maybe not, if you don't say it nicely, or sometimes you just try to, using your power or reputation to subdue them or to make them do what they don't want it to do. Something like this are quite common for those who tend to overlook of these important. So that's practice of generosity. 5 precepts and meditation are always related. Practice more and you will more understand. And I hope you all learning from this session and the previous session as well with the very great teaching monk that they had taught in the previous session can be a benefit to you all. And I hope to see you again next time in the future. I think I have finished a little bit earlier. Maybe I will send to the next video that I want to show later on, maybe, or maybe more time for the meditation. Now I would like to send next to the DOU. Are they there? เสร็จแล้วครับ
Chayaparit, the 12 Victories Protection.
มหากาลุนิโกนาโถหิตายาสัพพปานินัง
The Buddha, our protector, with great compassion for the welfare of all beings,
ปุเรตวาปารมีสัพพปัตโตสัมโพธิมุตตมัง
have fulfilled all the perfections, attain the highest self-awakening.
เทเตนะสัจวัจเจนะโหตุเตชยมังคลัง
Through the speaking of this truth, may you have a victory blessing.
ชยันโตโกติยามูเลสัพยานังนันทิวัตโน
Victorious at the fruit of the Bodhi tree was he who increased the Sakyans' delight.
เอวังตวังวิชโยโหหิชยาสุชยมังคะเล
May you have the same sort of victory. May you win victory blessings.
อปราชิตปัลลังเกสีเสปัทวิโภคะเร
At the head of the lotus leaf of the world, on the undefeated seat,
อภิเสเกสัพพพุทธานังอาคาปะโตปะโมทติ
consecrated by all the Buddhas, he rejoiced in the utmost attainment.
สุนาคาตังสุมังคลังสุปาพาตังสุโหติตัง
A lucky star it is, a lucky blessing, a lucky dawn, a lucky sacrifice.
สุขโนสุโมโหโตจะสุเยทังพระมจาริสุ
A lucky instant, a lucky moment, a lucky offering.
วาทาขินังกายกรรมังวาจากรรมังปทาขินัง
A rightful bodily act, a rightful verbal act.
ปทาขินังมโนกรรมังปณิทิเตปทาขินัง
A rightful mental act, your rightful intentions.
ปทาขินานิกตวานรพันตาเตปทาขิเต
With regard to those who lead the chaste life, doing these rightful things, your rightful aims are achieved.
สัพพมงคลคาถา Verses of excellent blessing
ภวตุสัมภมังคลังราคันตุสัมปเทวตา
May there be for you all blessings. May all the devas protect you well.
สัมปพุทธานุภาเวนัสสทธาโสทิภวันตุเต
By the power of all the Buddhas, ever in safety may you be.
ภวันตุสัมภมังคลังราคันตุสัมปเทวตา
May there be for you all blessings. May all the devas protect you well.
สัมปธรรมานุภาเวนัสสทธาโสทิภวันตุเต
By the power of all the Dhamma, ever in safety may you be.
ภวันตุสัมภมังคลังราคันตุสัมปเทวตา
May there be for you all blessings. May all the devas protect you well.
สัมปสังฆาภาเวนัสสทธาโสทิภวันตุเต
By the power of all the Sangha, ever in safety may you be.
All right, everyone. Now it's time for inner peace. So I would like to ask everyone, finding yourself sitting in the most relaxed and comfortable position. And then gently close your eyes, feeling as if you are taking a rest or about to fall asleep. Relax your body and scanning yourself, check and see whether there is any tension or uncomfortable feeling. Begin to relax from the top of your head down to forehead, eyebrows, and eyelids. If you feel that your eyelids are shutting too tight, You may reopen your eyes and close them down softly at this time. Making your face become soft as you continue further down to the neck, shoulder, back, body, arms, forearms, all the way to the tips of your finger. Continue to relax further from your abdomen down to your legs and knees, all the way to your feet. Making sure that your body is properly adjusted. Spending these few moments of the time finding yourself the comfort feeling. This is very important because the comfort feeling, both body and mind, would lead you toward inner peace. When you finding yourself the comfortable feeling, you would feel like yourself is transparent or blended in with the atmosphere in your room. Feeling light, spacious, hollow, or empty. No need to concern or worry about your body as you continue. Once you are done adjusting yourself, continue to adjust the mind. Empty the mind. Put all the things aside for the time being. And imagine of yourself sitting alone somewhere that you like to be by yourself. A place of your own, free from all responsibility, whether it's concerned with people, animals, the past, or future, something that you can control. Let them all go to allow both body and mind to feel like spacious or expand. Once both body and mind settle down, finding comfort feeling, take a deep breath a few more times. Slowly breathing out. Breathe in and breathe out. Resting the mind inside. Allow your mind coming back and rest within your body at any point where you feel just right. At that point, stay there. Observe, using your feeling feeling that your mind is present inside your body at that point. Should your mind begin to wander, lightly imagine the sun or the Buddha or the crystal ball if you like. Visualize them at the place where you rest the mind, so your mind may stay inside your body as you continue on, while at the same time, if you like, you may recite the mantra or these words in your mind to allow yourself free from the thought should it arise. Samma Arahang Samma Arahang Samma Arahang. Continue reciting mantra over and over until there are no more thoughts, or you feel like you don't need to use your mantra anymore. As you continue further, you may adapt and adjust the method to help you focus and calm your mind down in your meditation. Should the new experience begin to surface, all you need to do is to observe. Be still and still. No need to react as you continue on. When you find the balance between mindfulness and relaxation, inner peace and joy would arise, signifying that you had reached inner peace and come to the right path. So may everyone continue in silence for a little while until the appropriate time. May everyone attain inner peace in this meditation. สัพเพพุทธาภลปัตตาปัจเจกานันจะยังพลังอรหันตานันจัตเตเชนารักขังพันธานิสัพพโสสัพพพุทธานุภาเวนะสัพพธรรมานุภาเวนะสัพพสังฆานุภาเวนะสัทธาโสธีภวันตุเต
May I invite all the lay participants to offer our respect to the teaching monk. Bow, bow, bow. I'd like to express our gratitude to Venerable Pisit Chittasutto for guiding us through the profound meaning of the Chayaparitta, the victory protection. In these protective verses, we have learned living teachings from the Buddha's great compassion. They show how to create true safety and well-being in our lives, rightful thinking, speaking, and actions. And in Sabbamangalam verse, recalling the supreme qualities of the Triple Gem, the Buddha, the Sangha, and the Sangha, is a way of inviting the Devas or deity to protect yourself and all beings. And lastly, and perhaps most important, Venerable Pisit concludes that the true protection is about cultivating goodness, practicing generosity, and you practice meditation. And again, may I offer my gratitude to Prajan Pisit Chittasutto for illuminating these wonderful verses for us. And as a gentle reminder, next Monday, our program begins as usual with evening chanting and meditation. It started at 6:30 p.m. Thailand time. And then at 7 p.m., we continue with one of the most frequently used verses in Buddhist communities worldwide. The formal request for the 5 precepts, the 8 precepts, and the proper way to making offerings to the Sangha. These ceremonial chants form an interactive dialogue between monastic community and lay practitioners. And we will be honored to welcome Pra Mahapiya Vijayawajako, who brings over 24 years of experience and has taught Dhamma in both English and Thai to monks and lay people around the world. Currently, he's at Wat Prathamagaya, Chicago, United States. His extensive experience of sharing the Dhamma internationally makes him well-suited to guide us through these essential ceremonial chants. And lastly, may the power of the Triple Gem and these powerful verses shield you from all harm. May you all be blessed with wisdom and well-being, happiness, and the light of Dhammakaya shining within you. Thank you for joining our program. See you next Monday, and good night.